Don't stand around. What do we do about? Here.
Lowest and max order in front.
Here we go.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. What we like to do every regular meeting is recognize some really outstanding volunteers, neighbors, business folks, residents here in the city of Troy who really go above and beyond being a resident here in the city of Troy. And this evening, we have a very special person joining us, and I would ask LaToya Anderson, also known as Coach T, to please come up. There we go, Boys and Girls Club. You're probably wondering, okay, why do we have LaToya up here? Ladies and gentlemen, this is really moving. Whereas on Friday, January 18th, a parent was picking up a student from the Empire State After School program at School 14 when her 1-year-old daughter stopped breathing and became unresponsive. LaToya Anderson, also known as Coach T to the students of School 14, directed another staff member to call 911 and performed CPR, which she continued until the paramedics arrived, saving the child's life. She's embarrassed. The City Council hereby thanks LaToya Anderson, also known as Coach T, and I want to know where you got that from, for her calm and quick response, for her training, her ability in administering CPR, and for the service she provides to the children and families of Troy every day. You're an inspiration to the people of Troy, to the Capital Region and New York State. We are so proud to have you as our resident, Coach T.
I was not planning on speaking.
We like to do that.
So for me, I tell people simple and plain. This is just what I do. This is who I am as a person. I'm one of 19 kids, so being around children is easy for me. It's something that comes natural. And despite in Troy, born and raised in New York City, wherever I am, if children are present, then I like to believe that they're safe. Like Nora just told us, I'm also a former employee of the Boys and Girls Club, where I actually got my CPR training from. And same thing there, whether it's the 4 walls of School 14, 4 walls of Boys and Girls Club. Again, wherever children are, I like to believe that they're safe. It's just what I do.
And Coach T.
I have to ask LaToya, where did Coach T come from?
So T is my nickname. I actually do not like being called LaToya. So most people who know me in Troy, they do not call me that. So we're on the
So
city
we should
hall.
amend this?
My name is T. So Coach T, like I said, it's literally what I'm called. But Coach T came about long before the Boys and Girls Club, but that's where it pretty much got its official stamp. I used to coach the Boys and Girls Club, 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th, and high school, with another former employee of the Boys and Girls Club, and we just love basketball, so we tried to take basketball as far as we could in the city of Troy.
That's awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, Coach T, not LaToya. We have to get a picture. We can do it at an angle. Will that work? Cool. All right. we go. Here. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach T. Thank you.
Oh, no.
All right. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to let folks know about just some little ground rules. First, we thank you all for coming. We know why a lot of people are here, but also there's so many other issues we have to get through the agenda. But the public forum, I just spoke to a couple of council members. We normally give 5 minutes tonight. We have a sign-in sheet, so I would ask anyone that hasn't signed in to please sign in. It's fine. Jason, come on up. Just tell Mara. Please, we'll throw you on. I'll put you on. I know your last name. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Jason. And we're going, Randall, you'd like to speak? Okay. No problem. If anyone else wants to speak, just see Mara, we'll throw you on. We want public participation, and we love the attendance that we've received tonight. We are going to change. I have that discretion, but I wanted to check with my colleagues. We're going to change tonight's public forum from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. So we would just ask folks to try to keep within that time. And state your name and address. It is for residents or taxpayers to speak. And then lastly, let's be respectful of each other. I know there's a lot of passion on both sides of this issue. So saying that, let's respect each other. I would ask also to refrain from yelling, anything like that. So please, let's just respect each other and show the people in the Capital Region why the people of Troy are the best in the Capital Region. All right,
Madam President,
yes, council member.
so it's my understanding that our legislative assistant, Mr. Quinn, is going to do the timing. So Mr. Cummings is going to do the timing of 3 minutes.
Yes.
And Mr. Cummings, are you going to give people a 1 minute warning when there's 1 minute there?
I'll give.
And then it ends
yeah.
when it's over?
I'll give
How will
just.
people know?
Yep. I'll give a 1 minute when we get to that. But saying that, please keep it within 3 minutes. And when your 3 minutes are up, I will ask you to tie it up, please. Okay? Thank you. And thank you, Councilmember Fairtorn.
Could you just remind everybody you need to speak directly into the microphone?
Yes.
They're not very good, and people in the back, especially people with hearing impairments, cannot hear you. So please speak directly into the microphone. I know it's uncomfortable, but please do it.
Yeah, and you'll see us up here a lot of times not speaking in. Mara reminds us, and we have quite a few people out there who have a tough time hearing. So please speak directly into the microphone, and let's get rolling with the public forum. Our first person here, Caleb Winters, if you could please come up. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Caleb Winters at 1002 Peoples Avenue. I'm also the chair of the Upper Hudson Green Party, which covers Rensselaer County, Schenectady, Saratoga, and Albany. I would like all council members to vote no on local law 2, which would place the prohibition of designating Troy a sanctuary
Kayla,
city.
it's not being voted on tonight, okay? It's introduction only, we'll have to read public.
But it's
Yes,
the
we can.
updates on
Yep,
things.
it's okay. I'm just, go ahead, Kayla.
I'll continue on law 2.
Yes,
Law 2, which would place the prohibition of designating Troy a sanctuary city on the ballot November 5th. If the proper steps are followed, this law is incomplete, confusing, and not sound legislation. I would, however, like all council members to support Resolution 43, which encourages Troy's participation in and the formation of the Capital Region Community Choice Aggregation Program, which will create local jobs, provide local energy costs, provide lower energy costs, increase access to renewable energy, and give us local control over our energy. I would also like all council members to support the new Resolution 49, which supports locating an early voting site in the city of Troy. That's very important. Like Councilmember December said, 31% of Rensselaer County lives in Troy, and we need them to be able to vote. I would also like all council members to support amended Resolution 113, known as the Families and Communities Together Act, which was formerly referred to as the Sanctuary City Resolution. Troy will be a safer and more compassionate place because of this resolution. It encourages a better relationship between undocumented immigrants and law enforcement. This resolution will also conserve law enforcement's precious time and resources by allowing them to focus on solving crimes and not enforcing federal immigration policy. Other sanctuary cities in the U.S., some of which have been so since the 1980s, have higher household incomes, lower rates of unemployment, lower rates of poverty, and were less likely to have children under the age of 18 receiving public benefits compared to non-sanctuary cities. The FACT Act is protected by the 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which prevents the federal government from coercing local governments to use the resources to enforce a federal regulatory program like immigration. In addition to supporting the FACT Act, the Green Party denounces Rensselaer County Executive Steve McLaughlin and County Clerk Frank Barola's support of the 287G agreement with ICE to jail undocumented refugees in Rensselaer County Jail and deputized officers. Their opposition to the Green Light New York bill, which allows undocumented immigrants to receive driver's licenses, and their opposition to sanctuary city efforts in Troy are inciting xenophobia in our community, as evidenced by the recent white
Caleb,
supremacist
if you
stickers
could
being
start,
plastered
Caleb.
throughout Troy.
Caleb, if you could wrap it up, please.
Sure.
And please, I really don't want any denigration of anyone.
No, just
please.
stating facts. Please support
Well, county
Resolution
executive
113.
and Frank
Thank you
Marola
for your
had
time.
nothing to do.
That's a fact.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sergeant at Arms, can you please come up and remove this person? Please stop yelling. I'm not going to ask again. And
Councilmember,
also,
could I just interrupt to make a request? We need to keep the aisle and the doorway clear for emergency services, so if people could please make sure to leave a 4-foot span out to the hallway for emergency services. Thank you.
I'm also going to ask, and this is for everyone. This has nothing to do with pro or con. You need to be respectful. Do not yell. You will be removed. And then lastly, please refrain from clapping. Thank you. Next on the list, Michael Laporto.
Holy, look at this. Ladies, residents of the council people, person today, good to see you. A long time.
Michael, please state your name and address.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you.
where's your address?
47 Rensselaer.
You remember, 85 4th Street, what it's been for the last 49 years.
It's just for the record. Thank you, Mike.
Now that I said my name, I just want to say a few things about this resolution about sanctuary city. because very disappointing to it, to say the least. And anybody, that's like put the cart before the horse. Before even the law made by great people in Washington, we want to make a resolution. For what? It's not worth the ink you put on a paper now. It's not worth nothing. It's worthless. Number one. Number two, why do you want to know? And when the people out there that we become a rock city, just like an old western. People used to go to the place, was no law. No ICE, abolish police. Who the hell is gonna watch you? God? Is God gonna send the lighting to you? Do you know how many people come in through the border? We don't know who they are. Who are they? That's a Middle Eastern, that is terrorist, that is African, that is Asian. It's from anywhere. We don't know who they are. From Africa, they come to Mexico. I'm sorry, they can come through Africa. That's fine. We welcome here. We welcome everybody in this country. This flag was for the freedom. Now, a little while ago, what you guys, all of us said, the Pledge of Allegiance, these people that like to have free border, with this little shirts over here, they're not going to stand there. It's a privilege to come to this country. I'm an immigrant with a green card. You're not. I am with a green card.
I'm going to ask the
Okay.
council,
Mr.
Michael, hold on one second. Council members, please respect people speaking, please.
I'm
Go ahead,
not
Mike.
being insulted to anybody else, anybody at all. I'm just stating the fact. Have respect for our flag. Have respect when people pledge the Legion. Have respect and say it like the rest of us, instead of making faces. It's not about making faces. It's about respect to our flag. To one, you want to? I came with a green card, says alien now, and my family was here 3 generations. I was born there. I came to the place of freedom. I met some of myself. You want to come here? You come to work. Let the law and the Washington make the law. They allow everybody come on in. I go to work. Don't come and say give me, because you know what? I pay for my kid, and I pay for the education, and affirmative action. Anybody from South America, they get everything free.
Michael,
No.
if you could wrap it up.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
wrapping up. I'm
Thank
done
you.
with it. I'm done.
Thank you,
I just want to
Michael.
know this wrong, and you guys are wrong, and I hope you have a conscience when you go to sleep at night.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. I would ask folks, just so we could keep it rolling, to please refrain from the applause. All right, next on the list, we have David Banks, I believe. And if I didn't pronounce your last name right, I apologize.
You said David Banks.
Correct.
Yeah, that's.
Thank you.
I guess at the risk of sounding heavy-handed, I'm going to quote the Bible. So Hebrews 13:2 remind. Oh, sorry, David Banks, 46 Bell Avenue.
Thank you.
So at the risk of sounding heavy-handed, going to quote the Bible. Hebrews 13:2, do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. And Leviticus reminds us that the stranger who resides with you shall be to you as the native among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you are aliens in the land of Egypt. And also, as you know, I'm Jewish, and I know at Seder we leave a door open for the prophet Elijah, and we leave a cup of wine out, and no one drinks it because it is representative of the redemption we have yet to achieve. And even with the sanctuary resolution today, I still don't think Troy is close to drinking from Elijah's cup, so to speak. And I, more than I think most people here, know how hard it was to even get to this point. But I am going to say that it is probably literally the least we could do for the immigrants in our community, and it's sad that even that has been so hard to do. I understand the thinking behind not embracing the word sanctuary. I get it. But when white supremacists are proudly spreading propaganda on our streets,
Folks, I'm going to ask folks.
we need to be unequivocal in our support of immigrants, of the stranger. So, and I guess I don't understand why, you know, we're sort of acting as if we're not in the moral majority here when clearly we are. Like when I walked in South Troy, I hit 400 doors, many more than half enthusiastically supported it. I did that in February in the snow. I fell and fractured my hand. And you know what I did after I fractured my hand? I knocked on 5 more doors. All right, and I did that because I believe in this. And if you want to harness that kind of commitment and that kind of care and love for the city, you will support that fully and completely. You know, I really hope that we can find the courage to do that in all ways, because that's the enthusiasm that, you know, frankly changes things. And there's definitely enthusiasm on the other side. There's enthusiasm in the form of xenophobia. They want to put a big banner on the county office, with ICE's phone number on it. I think that's ridiculous. And you know,
David, if you could wrap it up, please.
Yeah, and so
Please.
you can either capture that enthusiasm or let it wither on the vine. We can either welcome the stranger or cast him out. That's all we can do. So I appreciate the voting on this today, but I would really like us to do it enthusiastically.
Thank you. Next, I am going to read a letter at the request of the county exec who could not be here tonight, and he would like the letter. The point of order. I am entering it into the record, and the county executive has asked for it to be read.
Excuse me, he's not here.
Stating that
People
the
have to
county
sign up to
exec,
speak here.
the county exec can have his resume,
Sorry.
his letter written.
Let him get in
Folks,
line. Let him put his name on the list.
The letter
This
will
is
be
this is
entered.
ours.
Councilmember
I'm
Parator,
making a motion to
Okay.
the public forum open.
the public forum is being
second?
kept open, and saying that I will read the last 2 paragraphs out of respect for the people who are on the list.
Excuse me.
We'll do it at the end of the public forum, okay? Really, seriously, you guys gotta relax.
That's you
Okay.
and orders.
Ladies
Follow
and
the
gentlemen,
rules. Follow the rules.
colleagues, relax.
We have
Okay.
rules in our
And the
council.
We have
And
rules.
the rules are, if somebody wants a letter read into the record, that's fine.
Would you read it before
Yes.
anyone has a chance to finish their
These
poems?
people have been
I'll
waiting
read
to
it at
speak.
the end. You're wasting time.
You brought it up.
The letter will
Guys
be,
are acting like
lady-
kids.
lady,
Who's number 4 on the list?
Councilmember Parator, it's seriously, you have to relax.
No, I'm not gonna relax because
The
you're
letter
playing with
will
the
be
rules
read
to your
at
advantage.
the end
I don't
of the
care what's
public
in that
forum.
letter. These
The
people
letter-
have come, they've
Excuse
waited.
me, can we
It's
please
their
move
public
on?
forum. It's their public forum.
Can we please move on to the
Who's
public
number
forum?
4 on the
Parator,
list? Who's number 4 on the list?
relax.
You don't tell me.
Ladies and
Too
gentlemen,
bad.
next item is
Who's number 4?
Councilmember Parator.
I don't
you're out
need
of
you to
order.
reprimand
You are
me.
out of order.
Excuse me, you were out of order.
You are way out of order.
You were out
Stop.
of order. You were out of order. Who's number 4 on
Let
the
us
list?
speak.
This is the public forum. Who's number 4 on
You know
the list?
what? Councilmember Parator, stop. Next on the list, next, you are acting like a child. Stop.
Let us speak.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, thank you. All right, next on the list is, ladies and gentlemen, next on the list, it's very hard to read. It's the last name, maybe Harper, I'm not sure. Manor Boulevard, I honestly, it's very difficult to read. Okay, Lori Harper, Manor Boulevard, thank you.
Sorry, Carmela, my fingers are shot. I write like hell.
It's okay. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm gonna ask a few questions, and I'm not gonna really give my opinion in this. I do feel very upset that I don't understand why this has become such a dividing issue with the city. I'll put it like that. I don't understand the benefit to either side of doing this, but one of my questions is, well, first, why did this come up and become an issue? Number two is, what would the consequences be? Say a police officer said, where do you live? Where do you come from? Or an employee. I went and paid a lot of taxes today, had to pay to park to pay to school, but that's another story. And what if somebody said, oh, how are you? Where are you from? Or something. What would it cost the city if that person turned around and sued the city in legal expenses and so forth? I have concerns that there's a lot of poverty in this city. And I feel for the people. I know a lot of these people. I'm considering going to do some junior achievement to volunteer my time to work with kids to teach them about owning a business, having property. I've owned a lot of property. I've sold most of them in Troy because it's gotten out of control. I was paying $20,000 a year in taxes, and I'm moving them. I can't afford it anymore. The other point is basically has there been a study on what it would cost as far as Medicaid and other services? Because we're a pretty broke county. And I know that Albany County already has people in the prison, which is coming out of Albany County taxes. And I'm not saying I don't want to help people on a federal level. I just think individually cities fighting, I don't know if that's the answer. But I do know that, I don't know that Troy's got the resources. That's what I want, more of a discussion, and I want to know why this came up. I shouldn't have to come to a meeting. If I can't make it to a meeting, my council people should contact us. See what we can afford, what we can do. And that's all I ask. Thank you, Lori. Thank you. And Lori, you still have a minute. I'm kidding. Thank you. All right, next on the list, we have Tom Real.
Good evening, Tom Real, live at 54 Plainview Drive with my wife and my 2 daughters. And honestly, after that display, I'm really embarrassed to be up here. I really am. It's really sad. We have been dancing around this topic for 9 months plus for a non-binding resolution. This is the kind of division that we have in our city now, where we're sniping at each other. Immigration is a hot topic all over the country. I get that. But its purview is of the federal government, not the city of Troy. You can sit there and say that you don't care about potholes. Ask a family in South Troy with 1 car. If it's a pothole, it has to be without that car. They care about potholes. You say you don't care about the garbage tax. Ask families in Sigaway, North Central, if they care about the garbage tax. We've been dancing around this topic far too long. And you can see the kind of division that it's causing in our city. For what? Score some points, political points. It's shameful. It needs to stop. We're sniping at each other, we're screaming at each other, talking over each other. This is not the Troy that I moved to. This is not the Troy that I live in. This is not the Troy that you represent. If you want to fight this battle, there's a primary next year for Congress. Go run for Congress. You're eligible. Throw your hat in the ring. The time is long since passed to get over this. I don't care how. I don't care what you call it. Get past this and move on to the business of the people of this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Next, we have, I would ask those. Thank you. Next, we have David Weinger, I believe.
Good evening, my name is David Weinberg, I live at 667 Paulding Avenue. I'm a member of Local 291, United Brotherhood of Carpenters. I can feel great.
David, if you don't mind, you can take that right out. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm a member of Local 291, United Brotherhood of Carpenters. I can feel sympathy for the immigrant, foreigner, but union carpenter costs $31.24 on the job site. A union electrician is $39 and change. A union operator costs almost $50. In Mexico, where most illegals coming from, they get a minimum wage of $4.97. That's not per hour, that's per day. They come here, they work cash, taking food out of the mouths of myself, my union brothers. Last week I was on the job site. Every morning, 2 vans pulled up, dozens of illegals came out, streamed in, did the carpentry, did the painting work, taking food out of our mouths. Now again, it makes some people feel good, but you're destroying the local community. These people don't pay taxes. They're not going to pay taxes once they have a free writ in the city. And you're undercutting the hardworking men and women, particularly in the unions, which the left supposedly supports. And I think Bernie Sanders said it best when he said, mass immigration is a Koch brothers scheme to lower wages and break up the unions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, David. Next on the list, I believe, is Climate Griffey. Sorry. Please tell me how to pronounce it. I'm sorry.
My name is Hina Gaffa, and I live at 146 3rd Street. I've had the opportunity, the privilege to talk about this matter many times, and to see the resolution hopefully going to pass today is so exciting to me, and I'm at the same time incredibly nervous about it not being passed. I think people want to talk about illegals, people want to talk about policies, whether it's federal or local. And if we disagree about this resolution, I do not see ourselves as politically opposed. I see us as morally opposed. We are opposed in what we believe we should be acting as American citizens, how we treat our neighbors, how we care for our neighbors. And I honestly have to keep this short because even though I am an Arab Latina growing up in Philadelphia, got to live in Troy for 3 years now, hopefully living here longer, I don't think I felt as much hatred towards me as my racial and ethnic identity as being the firstborn American in a family of immigrants. I can't believe that I found that here in Troy. And I'm so grateful for the people who are fighting for this resolution, who are fighting to keep our communities safe and welcoming to everyone. Because it is a sad day that I feel less safe here in Troy because of my ethnic identity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin. Thank you.
Legalize marijuana.
Okay, next, if folks could please, on both sides,
Sign the CSEA contract.
please, sir. Yep, Maria Devely.
Sign. Hello, everyone.
Maria, you can pull that right down or take the mic right out, whatever works for you.
Hello, everyone.
Hi,
My
Maria.
name is Maria Beverly.
Hi.
I live at 28 Cadillac Avenue, Troy, New York. I raised 5 beautiful children. I don't know where I want to begin, but I agree with some of our past speakers that Troy is not what it used to be. And it's very, very disappointing in so many, many matters. Most of us don't have the pride anymore for so many things. Talking about morals, yes, we need to have good morals. But on top of it all, it has to be also, we should follow the laws. I am an immigrant. I've been here 60 years. I'm very proud to be an American. I'm very privileged to be an American. But I think illegal immigrants, there is no reason why anybody should be here illegal. There's laws, regulation. Every home has rules and regulation. And I think it should go down the road. When it becomes in the cities, and it should be also done in Washington. So that's what I have to say. I am against to have a sanctuary city for so many, many reasons. We can't afford it. We can't even keep our street. My neighborhood is failing dramatically, and I'm still paying high taxes. That is not fair. That is not fair. And it's not fair for our future children either. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you. We have Reverend Newquist.
Thank you. My name is Reverend Gusty Newquist. I reside at 529 Paulding Avenue and serve the First United Presbyterian Church on 1915 Fifth Avenue. I am speaking in favor of the resolution formerly known as Sanctuary, currently known as FACT. I'm supporting FACT, but I'm sad to support it. I'm sad because of the great debate we are having around immigration and how it is affecting our community the same way others have said we are sad. I've been a pastor serving immigrant communities here in Troy and also on the southwest border for 10 years now, and then 10 years before that for the National Presbyterian Church. Our immigration laws are broken. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so hard to follow them. We have been advocating at the national level in my denomination for 20 years now. We have failed under Republican administrations and Democratic administrations. I would go so far as to argue that our national political leaders prefer to have immigrants be their political football so that they can have an issue to run on. That is morally reprehensible. I also understand and have compassion for the economic issues around labor unions and undocumented immigrants as well as documented immigrants. Again, the question is, where is the cause of that? Yes, mass immigration is a Koch brothers, I forget the language that he used. Scheme, sure.
Bernie Sanders quote.
Sure. So the issue is, how does our policy toward the immigrant, him or herself, affect the Koch brothers? They don't care what happens to the individual. We have to enact policy because our national government won't. I'm sad that we are not able to claim with gratitude the language of sanctuary. What a beautiful, morally righteous language to say we are a refuge for people who need safe space. I'm sad that we're not willing to take the steps to be a true sanctuary city that would actually have zero compliance with ICE at all. We would not comply with ICE at all. What you are passing tonight is simply a statement of fact. We have limited engagement with ICE as the law requires. It's a statement of fact. This should be 100% supported by Republicans and Democrats in the city council, the mayor, the chief of police. This is a statement of fact. Why is it so hard to pass a statement of fact? I wish we would go all the way and have non-compliance completely with these disastrous immigration laws.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend. Thank you. Thank you. Next on the list, we have Sean Collins.
Sean Collins, 303rd Street. I'm the Vice President of the Troy Area Labor Council as well. Represents thousands of workers across the rest of their time in Troy. I want to share a story briefly. I met recently with a worker, a professor at a local college, who in the summertime goes to the border and provides volunteer services at shelters for migrants who have not been deported back to wherever they have fled from, usually as a consequence of U.S. foreign intervention. She told some horrifying stories, but one stuck with me in particular. One of the women, she provides medical translation. I think it's an important point in the story. She provides medical translation for these individuals. You've seen in the story in the news probably about stories about how they turn the hot air up and turn it down cold. They keep these concentration camps at extreme temperatures. Concentration camps. Thank you.
If folks in the audience, please be respectful of each other. I know we're all very, very passionate about this. Please refrain. Go ahead, Sean.
Thank you. I hope that doesn't count against my time. They are concentration
No,
camps.
don't worry. I'll add 30 seconds.
They are concentration camps where people are concentrated deliberately in the fashion that they are. That is definitionally what they are. And so she works with the folks who managed to escape these camps and find shelter elsewhere. She told me a story about a woman who, in those camps, was strip searched every day, probed, cavity searched.
We have to leave those doors open for fire hazards, guys. Please open the doors. Thank you. Both, please. Both doors, please. Kim, do you mind? Kim, opening that side. Thank you. Go ahead, Sean. Sergeant at Arms, can you make sure those doors stay open? Thank you. Go ahead, Sean.
She told the professor I spoke with how she was searched so violently every day it constitutes a sexual assault. Her vagina was bruised, her breast was bruised, her body was bruised. It's disgusting. And so this resolution, as the Reverend said before, does not go far enough. But it's an important first step. It is a sanctuary resolution. The mayor's memo, where he hems and haws, is a sanctuary executive order. And we are staking a claim on that term, and we are defining it, and we are expanding. We should expand on it moving forward. I strongly, strongly encourage all of you to pass this resolution from a point of compassion. These stories at the border, these images at the border, they barely scratch the surface. And these folks who manage to escape that horror, they come here and they work. They're not stealing our jobs. They are contributing to the fabric of our community. They want to succeed. They want to be in a place that is safe. They want to be in a place that is welcoming. And we talk about enjoy Troy a lot. Let's live that ethos then. Let these people enjoy the city free of the vile and invective that is being tossed around behind me. Pass this resolution tonight. And then tomorrow, get to work on expanding on that beachhead. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. I'd ask folks, please, I've been doing it for both sides, please. Okay, Erica Andres. Erica? We have 3 tonight, please. Erica? Is Erica in the hallway? Okay, we're going to jump. Here we go, Bruce Rubin. Bruce. You can pull that right down. Or pull it out. Yep, thank you.
My name is Bruce Rubin. I'm from 456 Broadway, Troy. Some ideas are good ideas, some ideas are bad ideas. Part of us is for ourselves, part of us is for other people. To have liberty, you have to have rules. I spoke in 2018 about the same issue. I'm against this resolution for several reasons. First, it's not the whole truth. This resolution, which is named a fact for families and communities together, it's really Sanctuary City Rule 2. Second, why cannot the proponents admit that this is about illegal immigration and put that in the resolution? I dare anybody to find anything in that resolution which says this is about illegal immigrants. I have nothing against immigrants. I'm married to one. I'm the grandson of 3 legal immigrants, but without rules, yet anarchy. Look at the French Revolution. I mean, it goes on and on and on. This whole resolution is premised on, and it's right in the first paragraph of this resolution, that immigrants do not want to say what's going on as far as being victims of crime or witnesses to crime before it. But we have no studies of that, nothing at all. In fact, at the 2018 meeting, a police officer spoke and said, we're against it. And just, let's look at this for a second. They do not want to have cooperation between the city police and the immigration officers. If an immigration officer has to come into Troy to question somebody, or for whatever purpose, the danger of not being well versed in the terrain of the city is obvious. If they have the assistance of a Troy policeman or woman, they can say this is where this person lives, and it would reduce the danger of unnecessary violence, death, whatever. If this is such a good resolution, why should not the experts get in favor of it? I have to wrap it up.
No, 1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute, thank you. Last, or second, there's questions about the need of this. And I would submit that the resolution itself says Troy police are basically comporting themselves in favor of not bothering immigrants. Last is a consequence issue. Can the proponents of this law guarantee that there will not be an increase in crime? Our sister city, Albany, has had 15 or 16 murders last year. Can the proponents of this law guarantee that we will not have further gang violence such as MS-13? Can the proponents of this law guarantee?
Council member, if you could start wrapping it up.
Yes, good shot. Can the proponents of this law guarantee that the additional cost to social services and whatnot will not result in higher taxes?
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe Thomas, you next. Thank you. Hi, how are you?
Joe Thomas, 241st Street.
Joe, you can take it right out. It'll be so much more comfortable.
I just have a couple questions. You want to give sanctuary to people. The first act coming into this country is breaking federal law. So an American goes to Albany, robs a bank, breaks federal law. Can he come to Troy? I don't get it. I don't get where we're going with this. We have people that are suffering. Oh, I can't.
Thank you.
Oh, no, that's right. I just don't understand why you're giving people sanctuary that are breaking the law. By doing this and passing this resolution, aren't you in fact breaking the law? You're hindering the prosecution of a federal law. Yes. And that's all I'm trying to bring it down to the facts. I don't really have any anything else than that. I just want these questions answered before you pass this resolution.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
I was about to
Thank you. Thank you.
before it stopped.
Laura Revenue.
Hi, Laura Rabideau, 453 Madison Street. Pardon me, took a while to walk up here. There's a large nosebleed section in the back. I'm here, as you all have probably got, thanks, in support of the fact that I urge you to vote for it enthusiastically, because I think that it helps ensure that we are protecting the constitutional rights of all of our residents, because it helps encourage residents to engage with our city employees on issues, whether they need their trash picked up, whether they need to report crime, whatever it may be. And because it helps keep all of us safe in doing so. We've seen the consequences, the real life consequences of not protecting those rights in Troy. We've seen it through the story of our neighbor Delilah and her children, who are growing up just blocks from where I grew up in Troy, and who deserve to feel the same sense of safety that I did here. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Please. Okay, we have Dan Borden. Dan? And I really appreciate folks keeping their comments short. It's very respectful. Dan?
Good evening. My name is Dan Borden, reside on 109th Street in Troy, New York. First, I would like to thank Councilman Kennedy for his initial vote on this and preventing this from just being a backdoor affair where no one ever knew about it until after the fact. I find this fact act to be highly ironic since it contains so few facts. The economic benefit of immigrants. Folks, this is not about immigrants. This is about illegal aliens. The city of Troy welcomes immigrants. Like a previous speaker, I am married to an immigrant. I welcome her and her friends. 30 to 50% of the people who come to my home are immigrants. But illegal aliens are not welcome in the city. This whole business about a civil immigration detainer signed only by an ICE agent. Whoop-de-doo. A speeding ticket is only signed by a policeman. But guess what? And I spent more time in traffic court than most lawyers have. Believe me, you better show up for those tickets or they come and find you. These economic contributions by immigrants. Yes, immigrants make contributions. Illegal aliens cost us a small fortune. The Federation for American Immigration Reform estimates about $120 billion. Rich Moore and Rector from Heritage back in 2013 had it around $52 billion. That has to be at least doubled by now. The Center for Immigration Studies has it closer to $280 billion. And that doesn't even begin to address the wage effects that gentleman earlier spoke about. You go downstate and see what happens in Westchester, Suffolk, Nassau County. Light construction has been devastated by illegal aliens. And yet, we want to make life easier for them? What is wrong?
And if you could start wrapping up, that'd be great.
The next thing I wanted to pick up on here is this idea that it will aid in criminal investigations. There is absolutely zero evidence to that effect. Yes, there are some cities where there are some correlations to that effect, but the causality has never been tied into it. So, furthermore, what is the hubris of introducing this kind of legislation without even consulting the command structure of the police department or the rank and file. They
Thank
were
you,
only
Tim.
consulted after.
Thank you, Tam. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, thanks. Okay, Pamela Belschweinder.
Hi, I'm Pamela Belschweinder, 2nd Street, South Troy against the world, baby.
Well, clap for that.
I am here to say I am totally against this. I've been in this city for 57 and a half years. I've grown up here. My grandparents were immigrants here. Over 150 years ago, they came here legally. This is old. Immigrants have been here forever. We've had in South Troy, I don't know about Lansingburg and stuff, how your neighborhoods were, but we had the Polish, the Ukrainian, and the Russians. We
Please
had,
address the
which
council,
is
Pamela.
down in South Troy. We still have the Polish American Club on First Street where you had some of your meetings. We had the Iberian Hall for the Irish. We have the Italian Community Center, which you still have up on Fifth Ave. We had the Polish, we had the Russians, we have the Jewish down here on Fulton Street. They have their things there. Immigrants are welcome here in Troy. The problem here is you want illegals here, not immigrants, but you want illegal people here. I'm sorry, they need an ITIN, and the federal government is not going to provide them with an ITIN, which is basically a social security number to work and pay the taxes. These people, when they come here, they're working under the table being paid tax. They're not paying taxes. They're not paying into the city of Troy, which the homeowners here are paying a fortune in taxes. My taxes have gone up here. I've worked for the city starting at age 13. I'm now 57 and a half, and I've worked 2 and 3 jobs just to own the house I own in South Troy. People here, you want things handed to you, left and right. You bought your house for $1. You bought a $200,000 house for $32,000 from the city. We can't afford that. We were never given that opportunity, but you want it, and you want to give it to all these illegal people coming here? I'm sorry. There's taxpayers here, and we don't have enough to work to provide our kids. All the people that are here that are getting help now, some of them, they don't take and they don't go to the schools and stuff. Their kids get free meals and stuff. I worked 3 jobs. I had to find somebody to pay what I could pay to watch my kids so they weren't sitting outside waiting for me to come home from 3 jobs. You got people here that have worked their entire lives for what they had, and you're trying to take it away to bring in people who aren't paying taxes. Immigrants have been welcome here forever. And they still are. I don't care if you're black, you're white, you're pink, you're purple, you're gay, you're lesbian, whatever you are, you're welcome. God loves everybody. But you need to be legal. You need to come here the right way, just like all our forefathers have. And you need to say, if I'm coming here, I'm going to do stuff to improve the city. I'm going to pay my fair share of taxes. Why should the homeowners be the ones that are burdened with the taxes for the people that come here illegally? Your homeowners now, think about what your taxes are going to be in a few years when you're not sitting on this council and you have other people voting in what you have.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you, Pam. Thank you. Thanks again, folks, once again. Thank you. Thank you, Pam. We have Matthew Sakila. Sorry, Matthew, the last name was chopped up.
That's okay. You can make fun of my handwriting all you want, Carmela.
Nothing.
Good evening, Honorable Council. My name is Matthew John Clinton Sakalik. I live at 48 4th Street. I could probably talk about how my family's, emigrated from Eastern Europe and from Europe and been in Troy for my niece and nephew make, I think, the 6th generation here. But what I want to talk about is the history of sort of more radical action here in Troy that has been in defiance of the law, the federal law, not necessarily the local law. We're very proud of our heritage here places like Underground Railroad sites, of the rescue of Mr. Charles Now, and of things like the Reverend Habermans who built St. Mary's Church, who stood in front of the reactionary mob that happened during the draft in the Civil War, who tried to burn down the Black Church on Liberty Street. Now, the Underground Railroad was illegal. That's why it had to exist. It was illegal to assist people who were fleeing the horror of slavery. So the side of the law, especially the federal law, is often not on the side of justice. History teaches this. It's obvious if you open a book, right? If you look at Nazi Germany, everything they did was perfectly legal, right? They did it all by the book. They documented it meticulously, right? So sometimes you have to take action which is in deliberate defiance of an unjust law and declare it unjust. Now, to do anything less, I believe, is cowardice and often capitulation to the forces of crime and terror and fascism. So I say to the council, you can do the thing today. You can say, yes, Troy is a welcoming city. Troy is a sanctuary city. To not do so would be cowardice. It would be capitulation. It would be to, when the mob has gathered and is ready to burn down Liberty Street Church, to say, well, you know, it's fine that they do that. It's to back away. Leadership is not backing away. Leadership is standing up to the mob, because you know that even though there's a mob, there are more people that say that is wrong, and maybe they don't know how to act on their own, but they are on the side of justice. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you. Please, I could be the bad guy here to enforce some of these rules. Nora, please. Thank you.
Hi, Nora McDowell, 516 Grand Street, where I live with my husband, Tom Wing, and my children, Rufus and Irene Wing McDowell. I am in support of, whether it's still this number, Resolution 48, Troy City Council supports locating an early voting site in the city of Troy. When we're expanding voting laws, obviously you would want to have it in population centers where people are part of Stroller Nation, do not have cars, riding their bikes. And it's really sad when you call up and ask and you're told it's bipartisan. Well, bipartisan doesn't come up with the right solution. And trying to say we don't have a wheelchair accessible site or enough parking spaces or whatever, that's why we can't have it in the city of Troy, it's ridiculous argumentation. We're trying to block people from voting. If you are trying to maintain your position by blocking people from voting, you are not going to get good decisions. You are not going to get the best county. And you're not going to be a welcoming county. And that's not good for our city of Troy. So I do support Resolution 48, Troy City Council supports locating an early voting site in the city of Troy. I think we should speak up for our people in the city of Rensselaer as well. Other counties added polling sites. It's an embarrassment that we don't have a polling site. I voted Kennedy Towers. There's parking. It's accessible. People know how to get there. I have time off of work. I have a car. I could go anywhere to vote, but I know so many of my neighbors who can't. And that is just wrong. It's hard living in the city of Troy. It's hard knowing when people have it hard. It's hard living in the city of Troy in the month of July. It's hot. There's fireworks going off all over the place. But we're good to each other. I'm beginning to not like local election years because it makes it that we're not good to each other. We need to return to being good to each other. thank you, Deborah, for organizing North Central Day. It was good to see people being good to each other. I also want to thank the lifeguards at the Boys and Girls Club for saving my life this week. Okay? And not expecting me to have $1 when I didn't know I needed $1. So I am in support of resolution authorizing the mayor to enter a contract with the Boys and Girls Club. And I want everybody to know swimming is free as amended. If you pass this, it should be free to Troy residents so that teens can go swimming because teens are not adults. And so that mothers don't have to bring 10 kids with them because the other mother is maybe, doesn't have enough money for all the teens. Okay? So, and also, really, folks, it gets hot, it gets hard. It really is good to swim. We are people, we are immigrants, we are people from oceans. We are meant to be cool, and it is getting hotter and hotter in these cities. And if it's free to park and free to come to our parks and drink, it should be free to swim in our pool. And I look forward, you know how much I look forward to the South Troy pool. I'm taking that day off work. That's a holiday.
Thank you, Nora.
Now, the final thing is, as you know, wrapping up, I am in support of resolution for sanctuary city status, keeping families together, war makes refugees. Those of you who know me know my family story, know my husband's family story. When people are escaping Vietnam, when they're escaping Guatemala, when they're escaping the African countries, they are escaping. They are seeking asylum. They are literally running, swimming, boating for their lives. We need to keep families together. There should be equal protection under the law for all.
Please.
For all, not
Please.
just citizens, for
Nora.
all. That should be under our Constitution.
Nora, I'm really.
Okay, it's getting undermined, and that's why we need this.
Thank you, Nora.
That's why we need this.
Thank you. Thank you, Nora.
Accurate 2020 census.
Thank you, Nora. Stacy Truex and Stacy, you can withhold your address, okay? Yeah. Stacy, want to pull it out? Is it, yeah, yep, there you go. Yep, thank you.
Okay, I'm Stacy Truex from Lansingburg. I have to read about a vote that I can help me.
That's okay.
I have lived in Troy for better. I lived in Troy for 35 years. I never saw ridiculous things happening in Troy. And one of them is making Troy a sanctuary city. Are you kidding? Something that all came up, all I had done was divided people up. You want a sanctuary city? Go to the city that has one on the right. Albany has one. So don't think that you can come to Troy and see what we have. Troy is one of the best cities I think I have ever came to. My family, all the way back to my great-grandparents, has passed down the memory, all the way down to me, and down to my children. But unfortunately, my children do not have anything to say about Troy and the city. And that's very sad for me to think about my kids. They have nothing to say. They even told me they would like to leave Troy, and we're planning on leaving Troy. And we're going to another state where it's cheaper, better, and more people are getting together. The community is tighter than another state than many, as we understand. So, sanctuary city is not for immigrants. It's for illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants broke the law coming here in the first place. So what other laws are you going to break or planning to break that you already broke? You're teaching your kids that it's okay to break the law. You just get it to stop. The law begins at home, and you stop them off wrong. I teach my kids to obey our law, including Troy Police Department. If you didn't break the law, what are you afraid of? The cops are doing what they need to do. And I'm all for the Detroit Police Department. Now, someone mentioned they came here broke. So did my grandfather and his family. They came from Ireland. No welfare, no money. They went out and got the job. He and his brother got a job to help support the family till the father passed away. Get a job. Work your way up. My father did. He worked from the lowest paying job to a better paying job. And he kept going up to support us. I am hearing and here. Don't you think I've been discriminated against in schools and jobs? Oh boy, I was. I couldn't get that job or this job, but I was very qualified. And for some jobs, I was overqualified, but that's not what they found. They had other excuses.
Stacy, if you could start wrapping it up, that'd be great. Thank you.
My mom was my advocate, and she pushed me to do better than I am. I went to college and made something of myself. And I'm proud to say that I did it with God Almighty's help. And today I'm working 2 jobs, and my husband's working 2 jobs. So coming here broke is just an excuse to justify breaking the law coming here. At last, there's one question I have. For those who really want Troy to be a sanctuary city, do you actually live in Troy?
Yeah, I do.
Please, refrain in the back, please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was
Please refrain in the back. I do not want to have you removed. Go ahead, please.
That was just the last question.
Stacy, if you could, thank you, Stacy. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Jason. And folks in the back, there are a couple seats in the front if folks do want to come up here and sit.
Hello, it's Jason Harlow. I live at 61 Pinewoods up on the east side. I wanted to ask you all to support Resolution 42. That's the Mohawk Hudson shelter that benefits us a lot, especially last year with the animal hoarding house situation that we had. That was a big win for us. So please vote that through. I'd also like you to support Resolution 43. I heard about that in the finance meeting. That sounds good. Green energy, let's go. I would like you to support Resolution 49, this new thing that Mr. December's put forth. After hearing about that and a lot of discussion, it seems like that would be good. I would also like to, lastly, ask that you support the renamed Sanctuary City Resolution. I don't know exactly what the repercussions of an officer not following this resolution are, but it doesn't really seem like there's much. That there's sort of an unspoken rule that they would do the thing the resolution asked them to do anyways. This is just sort of codifying it, leaving less of it up to interpretation, and that might protect the city from litigation. We saw earlier in the finance meeting that because of pending litigation, we're going to spend $120,000 on somebody who fell through a skylight where they were illegally. So if we can avoid some of that litigation, we might save some money. If the city's not responsible, maybe it's just the officer or the feds who are responsible. Speaking of the feds, ICE is currently using driver's licenses to identify and deport immigrants, and politicians in Albany have maybe inadvertently opened that door for them in New York, as they've been finding people in Vermont and other states. So frankly, they won't need our officers' time anymore. We can let them focus on other stuff in the city itself. We know that the city council has already approved money earlier this year and or last year in exchange for complying with ICE in regards to people who are already in jail for criminal acts. Being an undocumented immigrant or an illegal immigrant is not always a criminal situation. It's sometimes just a civil situation where you've fallen out of status. So we're already complying with the feds in the ways that is in criminal situations. And when they went through the jail and looked for people, they found 2. I'd like to point out that Troy's immigrant population is 9%. That's asked about 4,800 people. They found 2. We don't need to spend more money or more time looking for them than we already are. It's a Fed's job, we can let them do it. Lastly, I think we should pass this resolution just to try to be better people, better at helping people. Troy has a history associated with the Underground Railroad. Several people have already brought that up. It's helping people. The last time I spoke about this issue, I mentioned former friends who were and were not able to gain American citizenship for various reasons, and how I wish I could have made them feel more welcome
Jason,
and more
if you
safe.
could start wrapping it up, that'd be great.
Yep. People fall out of status for all kinds of reasons, and hopefully this resolution might allow people to view officers of Troy less as a military arm of the city and more of the welcoming arms of the city meant to protect its servant. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Next up, we have Randall Rhodes.
Yes, my name is Randall Rose. I live at 2121 6th Avenue, which is in the old Neal Apartments. I'm basically against this whole situation about the immigrants. Immigrants should come here legally. We don't need undocumented or illegal immigrants in our city. And as I think of it, a lot of people, once this happens, if it does happen, people will start moving out of this city. This city will start dwelling down to where there'll be nothing but illegals. We don't need this in this city. It's just my opinion. It's not right. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Randall.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We are now narrowing down here. We have Raphael Varela. Hope I pronounced
Hi, good evening. Rafael Varela, 75 Kilo Street. I came to Troy to do a master's at RPI with the grant that they gave me at the architectural department. And I'm here to tell you about the different experience, because I believe maybe that you don't realize that theory is not the same as practice. And for example, Troy Police Department has bragged about to my neighbors about deporting me, because I have a green card, and they have bragged about deporting me at the police station. This was 4 or 5 years ago. So the reason I'm telling this story now, actually I am afraid of retaliation, which I should not be, is because I think people are not aware of this. I think people say, your experience is completely different than my experience. And you say, oh, the police already don't comply with immigration and this and that. The problem is they have so much discretion that they can use this discretion to threaten people for something as simple as exercising of our civil rights and filing papers with the court or filing papers with the city of Troy. I've been told by Troy police officers, they stop sending letters to the city, and this will stop while they were towing my trucks and while they were bragging to my neighbors that they were going to deport me. So the relationship is clear, they brag about it. And the reason I'm here to support the fact resolution, and I think it should be really a step up to be called Troy Sanctuary City, is because it will send a clear message that you are changing that culture. That the police should not have the discretion to harass people with an accent. I can only imagine what happened to people with a different color, with people that, and this is what I think is very important. We have had, I just want to give a brief example. We have had 2 judges, Judge Spargo found guilty of bribery. The city hired him as the lawyer to represent the city as corporate counsel. And we had Judge Bauer disbarred for violating the civil rights in 32 occasions, and the city hired him to represent the city. This is the kind of culture that has been happening in this city for a long time, and it needs to be changed. And I know these things from reading them on the newspaper. 2 judges who have been, one asking for bribery from the lawyers, the city hires him to represent the city, and another judge who violates the civil rights of the defendants in 32 occasions, then the city hires him to represent the city as corporate counsel. And this is like 10, 15 years ago, not that long ago.
Raphael, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up, please.
Please call it Sanctuary City, pass this resolution, change the culture of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Juniper to please come up. You're next on the list, and you are underage, so I'm not going to ask you for your address.
Hello, my name is Juniper, and I think that the sanctuary city, I don't know how to word it.
Excuse me, I can't hear you, Jim. Put your lips close, but don't put your lips on, but really close.
It's easier that way.
My name is Jennifer, and I think Troy should become sanctuary city. I used to have a friend, and he was an illegal immigrant, and he had to move to California, and I don't see him anymore.
It's because of ICE. They didn't do anything wrong, and all this is happening to them. People are dying on the border every single day, and nobody's doing anything. Does this not excuse those bad sins that are killing them? They just want to be safe. Do you have children? You have children?
We don't correspond. It's your public forum.
Well, if you have children, you would know what it feels like if you're away from them for so long. Families are being torn apart and you're doing nothing. It's depressing. Nothing is happening to make it feel better. They just feel sad every day. And nobody is doing anything to help them. There are people that kill these people that are innocent, that just want to feel safe, that can't feel safe because our country is keeping them from doing so. People are pulled over on the street every single day for looking different. I don't see any British people or European people or people that look like they're white people from 80s sitcoms being pulled over to ask if they are members of this country. But people that look Hispanic, that are black, anybody that looks different, people that look like they're from Afghanistan, they're being pulled over every single day in their cars. They're being asked on the streets. They're being asked to the bank and the store where they're supposed to be feeling comfortable. If they're American citizens, is that fair? I don't think so. For all you know, I could be Canadian and I could be an illegal immigrant. I'm not. But you don't know that. Like, you don't know any of this. A lot of this just, it's surrounded by people being neglectful. It doesn't make any sense. People every single day just think about pointless things when there are people dying. There are people that don't feel comfortable in their home because they don't know if they're safe. And it is wrong. Thank you, that is all I have to say.
Thank you. Eric Schofield Jr. Okay, he left. Cross him off. Stephen Germanari. Okay. Mary Mealy.
Hi. Thank you for letting me have the opportunity to speak. My name is Mary Mealy. I'm from Fifth Ave, Detroit. I lived there 60 years. Proud to be Trojan.
Mary, I apologize. Yep, move it up a drop, right straight in. Thank you.
Like I said, proud to be Trojan here. I am so against the sanctuary city for many reasons, and I'm sorry for this young girl who lost her friend, but I've lost good neighbors. They just supported the festival. Okay, nothing I can do about it, but I do take offense When, excuse me?
Please do not interrupt the speaker. I'm serious. In the back, respect the speaker.
They were doing it for everyone who was
Please,
against it.
Sergeant at Arms, can you please have one back there, please? Thank you. Mary.
Thank you. Because he was doing that to everyone who was against it. I know. So thank you for sticking up for us. I understand they have their opinions, and that's fine. But when it comes to them talking about Troy Police Department or the Rensselaer County Sheriff Department or Fire Department, I take high offense with that. I work for the Troy Police Department, and my job is data entry for crime. Any report for crime, I take and I data entry it and send it to the different ways, whether it's arrest or not. When they say the crime is down in Troy, I don't know why they're misleading the people. If I get minimum 60 reports a night, you might see 2 in the paper, 2 on the news. Our officers are so overworked. And these, I'm not just saying these were illegal criminals. No, they're not. But we have all these illegals coming in. We don't know if they're here yet. We don't know what disease their kids are carrying. And they're already breaking the law by coming in. My thing is, Troy Police, they are wonderful, proud to work there, but they are understaffed. You can't put this extra burden on the residents or the firemen, police department. Something needs to be done. If they want to come over legally, I'm all for it. I'll help if I can. But once they come in legally, they broke the law, what other laws are they going to break? Our crime has gone up so bad. My block, I've lived in for 60 years, never had issues. In 3 months, we had a shooting on my block, 3 stabbings, and many assaults with weapons. I actually witnessed the shooting, okay? This is not what I want my grandchildren to see. And something needs to be done. We need more staffing, and we have to hold off on any illegals. Good or bad, doesn't matter. But we cannot pass this law. Not right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Please.
Steve's here. He's in the back.
Steve Germanary is here.
He's here. It's coming from the back.
Okay, Steve Germanary, and then you're up, sir. Okay, hello. Hey.
Roll up.
Please, let's respect each other, please. Sergeant at Arms.
Point of order, there's decorum in our hall.
Hello.
And she's violating
Stop, please.
Yeah.
Please, can we please have a police officer? All right.
That wasn't very nice.
Everybody, take a deep breath.
Hey, I'm a taxpayer, y'all know.
Here's what's going to happen. Any yelling, you're to remove them. You are to remove them.
Lock them up.
Relax, please. Thank you. Hello, how are we back there? We all right? I want the sergeant at arms to let me know.
There's no way to get to this emergency.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
I don't feel safe.
My name is Steve Giuliani. I live at 1600 19th Street. I recently moved to Troy in May of last year, so it's about my third meeting in the town. I'm here to speak out against the sanctuary city status resolution. No one's changed in there.
Steve, can you just pull it right out, please? Thank you.
I'm going to start again.
Please, thank you.
All right, my name is Steve Giuliani. I live at 1600 19th Street.
Yep.
I just moved to Troy May of 2018. I was a former Albany resident. Prior to that, I was a Texas resident. I lived in Texas for 7 years, and I lived North Central Texas, just south of Dallas. In my early teens, I worked construction for about 2 years in various parts of Texas, all the way from El Paso up to Dallas, and as far north as the Texas Panhandle. I worked with a construction crew of about 17 guys. Of those 17 guys, 3 of us were American citizens. The rest were quote-unquote legal aliens. I was working at a job site in Las Colinas, and I was working with father and son, both father was in his 60s, the son was in his 20s at the time. And we had I guess it would be an INS rate at that time on the job site I was on. And those gentlemen took off running when INS conducted the raid. The whole job site would be now like rats jumping off the stage. That gentleman, the older gentleman, was caught in the raid, and he was deported on I believe it was a Tuesday. He was back to work the following Monday on the next job site around in North Texas. I think the bigger issue, I think we can all agree on both sides of this argument, in the federal immigration system is broken. I myself am a fourth generation American. My third generation American. My great grandmother came over on both from Ellis Island in 1919. The point of what I'm getting at is that I think a couple of the council members tried to basically water down legal immigration. But the fact of the matter is that it's not just the fact that these people are here. I mean, I know they're searching for a better life. The bigger issue is the things that go along with that. Most of the guys that I worked with on that construction crew had false documentation, false birth certificates, false social security numbers, false social security cards with somebody else's social security numbers on there. So these guys were paying taxes, or they were getting a 1099 issued under that social security number. Somewhere, somehow, that was another American. That was an American social security number. And as far as I know, that's considered identity. So I think the bigger issue is that it's not just the fact that they're here, it's how they affect everybody around. Most of the guys that I've worked with were great people. They were literally just in search of a better life. And they had, a bunch of them had American-born kids. Their kids were first-generation Americans. But we need to look at the bigger picture as to how this affects everybody around us. And I honestly, with all the problems in this city, from the garbage to the crime to potholes, to everything that affects the everyday citizen here in Troy, we got bigger issues. And that's
Stephen, if
specifically,
you could start wrapping it.
yes,
Thank you.
that's specifically aimed at both of you two for even bringing this up. Okay. I mean, literally my second council meeting, I had to listen to an Orange Man Bad rant, and you ran on about sanctuary citizens. You've got bigger issues in this city than illegal immigration.
Thank you, Stephen.
Can I say one thing in closing?
Very quick.
If you really want to draw the ire of the federal government, including this current sitting president, go ahead and pass this resolution. I guarantee you, you will not like the end result. I promise you. Leave these people alone, let them live their lives, and let them fly under the radar. If you piss off the federal government, ICE is going to be in here and they're going to be coming hard, regardless of what Sheriff Russo does. The 287G program in itself only checks people that are already in jail for another crime or in the process of committing a crime. I am a former Texas correctional officer on top of that. I worked in a facility that participated in the 287G program. Okay? The people that were caught up in that program are bad people.
Stephen, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have one more, and I'm going to close it after the last. Jeffrey Belschwinder,
No, I'm not speaking.
not speaking. All right. I am going to close the public forum section. And actually, before I close it, the county exec did send a letter. He is not in the area. I will only read the last two paragraphs as we stated earlier because it is a page and a half. He asked for it to be put in the record. I'll give it tomorrow. I'll forward it to you because I started writing my notes on the bottom. Basically, I stand firmly behind the Troy Police Department as they are the front line of public safety in the city. This legislation severely hinders their ability to protect and serve our citizens by contradicting the code of conduct officers must follow. The department has entered into several memorandums of agreement with federal law enforcement agencies that require the officers to uphold federal law. Law enforcement, please everyone, we all respect you, please. Law enforcement officers are bound by law, not resolutions. Therefore, will the city stand with their dedicated officers to ensure laws are followed or allow a political faction on the council to jeopardize the public safety of the city?
The council may.
Lastly, please remove whoever, I warned you 10 times. I want that person removed right now. Whoever it is, I don't care if you're pro or con, you're to be removed, please, right now. I requested 10 times. Lastly, I would be greatly disappointed in the mayor if you did not take affirmative action to veto this bill. Merely allowing it to become law by not signing it and not exercising your veto power that the charter provides would be an affront to our constituents. Inaction on your part would be the same result as if you had signed it. Many Troy residents, last paragraph, and believe me, there's like 13 paragraphs. Many Troy residents have spoken to me or have reached out through social media and expressed their concerns with this unnecessary and divisive resolution. I am sure you have heard the same, and I sincerely hope that you listen to their voices and veto this resolution when it reaches your desk. And that was to the mayor. A very long letter. I'll scan it tomorrow, and it'll be recorded in the minutes. Before we move forward, I, as many know, have to, we heard a lot tonight about enforcing the laws, enforcing the rules. And I have read this at least 35 times. Robert's rules, which are incorporated into our city council rules, are the rules to follow should a rule not be written in the council rules. Section 2-37 of our council rules. Any motion to untable is not germane, since the table resolution ceased to exist in January 2019. What I'm saying, folks, is that Robert's rules dictates and the resolution from December needed by Robert's rules time limits on taking questions from the table. A question, which is your resolution, has been laid on the table, remains there, and can be taken from the table during that same session, or in organizations, which organization is a council meeting, having regular business sessions as often as quarterly, which we do. Also at the next session after it was laid on the table. If not taken from the table within those limits of time, the question ties. Although it can be reintroduced at a later date. What I'm saying, folks, is that there is no resolution 113 per, just please hear me out, per Robert's rules. It had to have been voted on table at that meeting or January. There is no resolution 113.
Council President,
Let me
I'm just waiting in line.
I do want also, I recommended last week when I saw the amendments and the council stating that they plan to untable the resolution, I recommended, and I have an email to Councilmember December and Councilmember Cummings, that they should introduce new legislation. They did not. I asked them, and we all know I am not in favor of this legislation. However, the rules are the rules. We have talked about the rules and the laws all night tonight. Robert's Rules Resolution 113 does not exist. It is dead. Stating that if the sponsor wants to introduce new legislation, it will be put through the normal process as any other piece of legislation. Councilmember Cummings.
Two things. The first is that this is a resolution that was initially removed and added at your request back onto the agenda moving forward. It has been sitting on the agenda for the last several months of this year. At your request, I believe. And that being said, it sounds like this is a question of order, which in our rules of the Charter of City Code there's an explicit process for dealing with questions of order. And so you've made a determination as allowed, but we are also allowed to appeal that determination in a question of order, which I'll just read the bit of the charter that says questions of order shall be decided by the chair without subject to debate. However, to the chair without subject to debate, however, subject to an appeal to the council as the whole, which shall also be decided by a majority vote without debate. So we can take a vote on this question of order, whether or not this resolution exists, and without debate.
Yep. And
I thought it was
very quickly, Councilmember Pertor, that's I was going to give you.
I just wanted to make sure.
I'll make a motion to bring the question of order to the floor.
It's fine, Councilmember Pertor is.
Well, I just need a motion.
I
to
don't
bring
have
the
a question,
of
but
order
I was next up.
Councilmember Pertor.
Councilman, I had asked for the floor. I think it is amazing that you would be bringing something that we have been carefully studying and communicating and holding countless meetings and listening to constituents for a half a year. That at the final hour, you're bringing out Robert's Rules of Order. I've been on this council since 2007. I didn't even know.
Councilmember Pertor has the floor.
I didn't even know we were going by Robert's Rules of Order. I have served on many boards of directors. And generally, you know up front if you're gonna go by the Robert's Rules of Order, or you're gonna kinda loosey-goose it. And you've been loosey-goosing it since I've been on the city council. So to bring out Robert's Rules of Order is ludicrous.
We have a
Okay,
question of order and a motion.
in the rules, read the rules of the council, which the council passed in January of 2018, section 2-37, which you voted for.
Questions of order are made to be done without debate.
2-37, Robert's rules, which are incorporated into our rules, section 2-37, stating that anything that you do on tabling whatever, it's null and void. And you can
determination
untable
as
it.
chair?
I am parliamentary, section C14A of the city charter. Here we go, under this section of the charter. The council president is to determine all matters of city policy subject to the powers of the president of the council to determine such policy, stating that you voted for the rules. The rules incorporated Robert's rules. Our rules do not incorporate a tabling, so you refer to Robert's rules. Robert's rules, which I just read to you, section 33, hold on, 33-1, time limits on taking a question from the table. If you want, you can propose new legislation.
Council President, there's a motion.
She needs to leave, so like.
Stop wasting time.
That's right, that's right.
I've appealed your determination. It's subject to a vote of the majority of the council without zero debate.
I call for a slow roll.
Councilmember Gomez.
Read exactly what you're telling us.
Councilmember Gully is asking the parliamentary, the chair, once again. Councilmember Gully, our rules, section 2-37 incorporates Robert's rules. That's what we all voted on January of 2018. Robert's rules dictates the tabling. Unfortunately, I'm the bearer of bad news. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Section, and I'll read Robert's rules. Section 33, take from the table. Time limits on taking a question from the table. If a question has been laid on the table, remains there, and can be taken from the table during the same session, which would have been in December, or in organizations having regular business sessions, which is us, also at the next session after it was laid on the table. If not taken from the table within these limits of time, the question dies, although it can be reintroduced later as a new question, which I recommended last week and you decided not to do, stating that there is no resolution 113.
We've been debating it all night.
It died.
Clearly not. We've been debating it all night.
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, it's on the agenda. It is not a lie. It should not be on the agenda. That's what we're telling you.
I have challenged that determination.
Okay, one at a
By
time.
the chair. We're now just taking a vote as to
Correct.
whether or not to challenge that determination. A yes vote challenges your determination, an overrules it, a no
A
vote.
yes vote challenges the determination.
What he's trying to do is overrule the chair's determination. And just so you know.
Which is in the charter.
Right, and just so you know, in the charter, read it, section C14A, under this section of the charter are the powers of the council president, matters of city
We
policy.
understand.
Councilmember Gully asked for it to be reread.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
Can we have the corporate council come up to the?
He can't, he is not, it's the parliamentary, no, the
I'm not.
corporation council can only rule.
I am not on all of Robert's rules, as I am a resident trying to protect residents. The value there is that you're saying that this resolution is dead to Robert's rules. Is there an ability to just, does the majority have the right to put this up for a vote?
They're appealing, but it will not be legal.
Well, excuse me, folks. Here's my situation.
Folks,
We have been dealing
out of
with this for
respect
6
for the
months. I've
council.
listened to the same stories 4 different times. There's a lot of people that are being affected emotionally, passionately, and angrily over this issue. We've done this many times. I just drove 3 hours away to come down here tonight to settle this issue. And to get it off the floor one way or the other, because if it passes tonight, it'll go on next year. If it doesn't pass tonight, it's done. And I just don't want to deal with this anymore. I think we should just vote and get this thing done. Get it done. Before you do that, I'm going to democracy turn on myself. It's not about the applause. Let's try to be proper and professional here, so we can get through this meeting. All right? Okay, Sean, you're agreeing, Sam.
You know what?
Ask your friends what they think about you.
Officer, please remove. I asked 10 times. I am not, once again, I have asked you to refrain in the back. Officer, please remove.
That's really wrong.
Officer,
It's
he has
9:30 at
talked
night.
out of line. Officer,
Mr. Gully, we
please.
started the flow roll.
Mr. Gully.
Your vote, yes or no?
I want to vote on this thing tonight.
And so yes or no? Are you voting? If you are, say yes.
Removal.
Then we can vote.
It's not about overruling, it's about just getting through this. I'm not gonna bring it here and put it through again and go through another 3 meetings to do the same thing 4 months from now. I'm not doing this. I'm voting that we vote tonight.
Vote yes on the appeal.
Yes.
Read Robert's rules and read them.
Yes.
And if it is illegal.
Yes, 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 yes.
Don't follow the federal
We're
law.
doing a slow roll. Who's next?
Forget the charter.
Councilmember
Yeah.
Mara, please. Mara,
Excuse me.
Mara is asking for a slow roll. Mara, please.
Councilmember Cummings.
Yes.
Councilmember December.
Yes.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Yes.
Council President Fantella.
No.
The challenge passes 6 ayes, 1 no.
Okay,
Council President,
yes, Councilmember Cummings.
I move to untable Resolution 130.
113.
13.
You can run,
Correct.
you can
130,
do
yeah, right.
130.
Thanks, it's been a long. Yes, I move to untable Resolution 113.
I second that motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Mara, can you please read the table resolution 113?
Resolution 113, resolution affirming the city of Troy as a sanctuary city, Councilmember December.
What are we doing?
I apologize, we have a situation. Thank you. All right, resolution 113, we have a motion, we have a second. Discussion.
Council President?
Yes,
I will also,
Councilmember Cummings.
move
This
to,
is a motion to untable.
oh, yeah, you're right.
It's a motion to untable resolution 113. On the discussion, I will once again say, I understand we honestly all want this put to bed. Saying that everyone tonight, including on this dais, talked about the rules, talked about the laws. What you are doing is you're essentially untabling a dead resolution.
Okay, let's go.
Further discussion?
Yes.
Councilmember Gully. It's not yet. This is the discussion
If it gets
to
untable,
untable.
according to Robert's rule, what happens after that, after this vote, after
There
this?
is no resolution 113.
So this, there is all null and void.
No, you appealed my decision
And that
stating
appeal-
that
What,
Councilmember Gully is the
We
floor.
decided
Yes,
it's fine,
but
you're wrong.
that's correct. It doesn't
Okay,
mean
so
that the
can we move on,
legislation
please?
is still legal.
Let's go.
You're
Then
sue
them.
All in favor?
so
sue them.
stating that, Councilmember Gully, do you want to ask anything else? Okay. Further discussion on the untabling, okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I oppose.
Council
Resolution
President,
113 is untabled, 6 ayes, 1 no.
Perfect. Councilmember Cummings.
I would also like to make a motion to amend said resolution 113, formerly known as the resolution affirming Troy as a sanctuary city, with the amendments released last week, released to the room in the back and on everyone's desk. Everything in red is an addition. Everything that is a strikeout is a subtraction from the previous resolution. The new resolution would be titled Resolution on Families and Communities Together, the FACT Act. It contains several important amendments focused around clarifying the intent of the resolution, defining some terms that we found were misunderstood throughout the community, as well as adding a few particular important notes with regard to both the importance of the 10th and 4th Amendment in protecting the rights of everyone in our community, as well as with regard to several core issues around our relation to federal and local immigration policy, commending the state legislature for their work and commending Mayor Patrick Madden for his memo, which outlines a very similar policy framework as is outlined in this result. And finally, outlining a role for the Troy Human Rights Commission to be appointed per Code Chapter 51 and empowered to review and promote city policies and practices preventing discrimination, and to conduct public education, encouraging participation of all residents with law enforcement and other civil services. So you all have the amendments. I'll make that motion to amend it.
What I first want to tell folks, the untabling of resolution 113 is now put on the agenda per your vote. What we will do is put resolution 113 back under the resolutions. It'll be after resolution 49, and at that time, we'll take the amendments
We
up.
can let some
Council
folks go.
President,
No.
Council President, Council
We,
President.
we are here to do the business of the people.
That's right, we are.
Okay.
Council President, can I have the floor?
Councilmember Perry.
Under what rule, charter, resolution, whatever, can I propose that we move this forward to the top of the agenda so the people who have been here for 3.5 hours, there are children here, there are people who have children at home, can go home. Can we move that up to the first thing we took vote on now?
Does the council
I'm
want
making
to
a
do
motion
that?
that we do that.
We have a
Without a
motion.
second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay.
Sorry, made a motion.
We have an amendment on the floor to resolution 113. Resolution 113. We have an amendment on the floor, a motion by Councilmember Cummings. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Councilmember Parator. Discussion.
I'll just vote on the, you'll just vote on it.
Slow roll, Laura.
Is that the amendment?
No, this
From the
is on
resolution?
this is the actual rest, though, on
So we already
sanctuary
approved the
city. The amendments are approved.
Councilmember Gilman.
I guess two things I want to say is this has been a very long, drawn out issue for many people, and the passion and the energy has been crazy, to say the least, for what I'm used to. I've heard many people talk about enthusiastically passing this, but I didn't hear one person say logically passing it. I heard many people talk about disrespect to both sides. I've seen a lot of disrespect in this room, both among council members and among the crowd that come to listen to everything about this resolution that I find is useless. It really is just a feel-good resolution that has no impact and no bearing on life in the city. And whether it's passed or failed, tomorrow morning, life will continue just as it was yesterday in the city of Troy. So there's no value, there's no impact, and there's no directive response or growth from this, except for a feel-good feeling that, okay, everybody's welcome here. They're already welcome here. I find that this has been a large waste of time because I think it was put out prematurely without a proper impact study and proper notification to the departments that were involved in this situation that come out of this legislation. The work wasn't done properly. One of the mentors of my life always said he was a success because he learned how to measure twice and cut once. That was not done on this resolution. There was a lot of the fabric that wasn't studied, and there was definitely no value for the long-term effect of what we're trying to put here. And I have nothing bad to say about any person as a human being, because I do my best to be creative and love everybody I'm around. But this piece of paper, the ink on it isn't worth the paper, and the paper isn't worth the ink that's written on it. I vote no.
Councilmember Garrett.
So, it's crazy because everybody's sitting here is talking about, oh, I had 6 months to decide. Well, guess what? Deborah Garrett, I had maybe a month and a half, if that. And I'm sitting here watching people go back and forth about people's livelihoods. At the end of the day, whether we vote yes or no, people need to understand that from my perspective, how I'm gonna vote is gonna be based off of what I personally feel morally. And I definitely think that I want people to take, if you don't take nothing else away from tonight, you need to take away this. When you are electing people to represent you, you need to make sure you choose the right person. And the reason why I say this is because I don't agree with nobody up here. And you know why? Because I understand sometimes where the Republicans come from, and I understand where the Democrats come from. My problem is the fact that if you're gonna have a gunfight, bring your guns. Don't bring no guns to no knife fight, because you're gonna get shot. This should have been passed a long time ago. If you're talking about something in December and we're now in July going into August, we should have been passed this. So, like I said, when you are voting for people, make sure you're not voting for them because, oh, I know them for so many years because they've been my neighbor or my kids went to school with their kids. You need to vote for people who has morals, who is thinking of everyone and not themselves. I'm telling you right now, this was a S show. This was like watching grown people act like children, go back and forth for something that, realistically speaking, none of us is, well, excluding myself, none of y'all are really affected in a way where people feel like there's this thing against colored people or people of being immigrants. You don't have that. You can't understand where people are coming from if you don't live that life. And we're sitting here making a decision based off of your own personal experiences, not off of people that actually went through something and been put in certain situations. You say this all the time. Make sure when you're picking people to represent you, you're picking the right people. I got set up here because someone used the N-word. With that being said, I am voting yes for Sanctuary City because who am I to dictate what somebody else should and shouldn't have when I have 3 sons that have to eventually grow up to 3 black men who are always targeted. And I'm not saying this by the City of Troy police officers. I like the City of Troy police officers. And I don't want my words to get misconstrued like they did the last time. What I'm saying is that black men already have a target on them. So let's be mindful who we are voting for when we are electing people. Thank you.
If you could wait after everybody votes, that would be great. Thank you.
Councilmember Paratore.
I have so much I want to say, but out of respect to people who have been coming here for 6 months, waiting our vote, I would have voted absolutely yes in December. I will just say a few things. To compare the experience of our grandparents and great-grandparents who came over mostly from Europe through Ellis Island, showed a passport, got a physical check, got directions to a bus up to Troy, as did my Irish immigrant grandparents. To compare that experience to the real experience of refugees coming into the United States. I'll use the southern border. Refugees coming in, fleeing poverty, drought, violence, rape, coming here because we're America. We're America. We're supposed to be the place where a person can come and work hard and maybe move up, as was the dream of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of immigrants from our past. My new daughter-in-law is Chinese American. She has best friends who have been in this country 10 years and are still waiting for that final card. We're still waiting for that final, yes, you are an American. I do a lot of work in the local schools. I'm the author of 20 books for children. And so I listen, I pay attention when someone like Juniper stands up and speaks. And I applaud you for your courage and your focus and your words tonight. I spend a lot of time in School 14, which is in my district. I do bilingual writing workshops there. And I have met many people who are from other countries who are here because maybe the father's working at RPI or maybe the mother is an engineer. And the family comes with them. And sometimes they're in full hijab, which makes a lot of people around here nervous. And I've had personal conversations with these immigrant families who are here. They're here for good reasons. They want to become full American citizens. It doesn't happen in a day like it did for my Irish immigrant grandparents from County Mayo and County Cork 100 years ago. It takes a long, long, long time. And these friends, I consider them friends now from School 14, they're afraid. They're afraid that they're going to get picked up or someone's going to challenge their immigrant status because they're not fully hasn't reached that final line yet. I am proud tonight. I'm proud to have been elected to this seat. I'm proud to serve my constituents in District 3, who, by the way, overwhelmingly in support of the Sanctuary City Resolution. I counted 94 either calls or emails or text messages, and the only email against that stands out in my mind is the former Republican Mayor Harry Tutunjian. That's the only one that stands out in my mind. Overwhelmingly, people were, thank you, please, yes, please do this.
Not true with all immigrants.
So I stand
Mentioned are here
for, I
legally.
stand up.
All your
I'm
immigrants
sorry,
are
you run
here
for
legally.
office, sir. You run for office and maybe you'll
I'm
get to
going
the
to
other.
District 3
But
because
you
you're
didn't
talking
win,
ridiculous
okay.
nonsense.
Let's engage. If
So
you
why
could
don't
wrap
you
it
get
up.
the people to continue?
You're going to throw me out.
No,
That
I
guy
am
just
going
gets
to finish.
like some.
I am going to
I'm gonna
finish.
shut up.
I am going to finish. I
Please,
vote
please.
yes, proud.
Audience votes at the end, please, at the end.
Councilmember Cummings.
As noted, this has been a long process and an important process. A process of deliberation, of community meetings, of listening, and of deep research. Both into the effects this has had in other communities and into the role of immigrants in our own community. I did hear some discussion tonight about taxpayers and about the importance of making sure that we do what's right by them. And that is my primary goal as a council member. When you talk about taxes that are paid, all renters are paying taxes. Anyone who lives in Troy is paying both property and sales taxes, which are the taxes that we see here in Troy. And beyond that, as noted by one of the speakers tonight, Social Security taxes are often paid, and statistically paid significantly more by immigrants than ever taken. That being said, for me, the value in this for our community is about keeping us safe, about making sure that when someone who is undocumented and unable to, and living in some level of fear, knowing that they can call the police, knowing that they can work with our local city leaders, staff, firemen, everyone, without fear that they might be deported or that their life may be torn, from their children. Which is why this is now the Families and Communities Together Act, keeping people together with their families, making sure that people know that they're always welcome to work with us here in the city of Troy, and making sure they know that we value the contributions they make both to our economy, to our vibrancy of our civic life, and to our society here. So I vote yes.
Thank you, Amara.
Councilmember Vislover.
To briefly explain my vote, this has been, I'll echo the comments of my colleague, this has been a long process that we worked to try to ensure that we can get this done right. It has always been about ensuring that folks in our community who currently live in this city, who yes, some of them are undocumented immigrants, that all those people feel safe in reporting crimes when they go on in our neighborhoods and serving as witnesses to those crimes. Our city has had a long history of welcoming immigrants, and I think it's important to listen to the experiences of people who have shared with us the challenges and struggles that they've been going through. I said I'll keep it brief. There's a lot more we can discuss, but I will be voting yes in favor of this resolution.
Thank you. Lawrence?
Councilmember Kennedy.
No.
Thank you, Laura.
Council President Venturo.
Please, on the dais here.
That was a coward move.
Yeah,
But it
was.
is. Vote hard.
Councilmember. It's all right. It's all right. Okay. Listen, we know that potentially
We have certainly exposed the city of a court challenge this evening, but more importantly, back in December, the council here, the majority, had every opportunity to vote on the original sanctuary city. January comes. Well, we're going to vote on it in February. February comes. This is the majority. We're going to vote on it in March. March comes. We're going to vote on it in April. This road that has been taken has been the most unprofessional road I have ever seen by a legislative body. And I certainly hold Mr. December, Mr. Cummings, and the rest of the majority minus Councilmember Kennedy and Councilmember Garrett and Councilmember Gallo.
Don't exclude him. He was a flood that. The only person that should be excluded is myself, because I'm the only person who did not have from December. Like I just said to Jim, I respect the fact that he's been the same since I've been here, so I was happy to get something. TJ sat in meetings with us, going back and forth about voting yes for this.
Yeah.
All right. Saying that, the majority had every opportunity. You all had your opportunity to speak. I want to say, I am so disappointed in so many folks this evening that have been yelling, a couple council members here not respecting each other. It's unacceptable and unprofessional. We have one walking away.
I think you're over your
The passion, Councilmember Paratori, you are out of order.
I'll second that.
Wow.
You know what, folks? This wasn't a win tonight. The display that happened here, this isn't Troy. This isn't the Troy I was born and raised and lived my whole life. Troy's better than this.
This is Troy. This is Troy. You need to accept that.
Arrest that man.
Arrest that man.
Officer, please remove Mr. Collins. Saying that what folks are going to see is the local law. I have heard now, I will wrap this up. I keep hearing from the majority, overwhelming, District 3, District 4, District 5, Mr. December, we have an overwhelming amount of people here in the city of Troy that support Sanctuary City. You know what I say? Support the local law that will be coming to the council in August to let the voters decide. Because at the end of the day, the voters will have the decision. And if you're so confident that the people of Troy support becoming a sanctuary city, put it on the ballot in November. What's going to happen over the next month is a local law has been introduced this evening, referred to public hearings. There will be 3 public hearings. The 3 public hearings will not be a group of people, as unfortunately the sponsors have decided to do with this legislation. We're going to bring it to you. We're going to have one in the Berg at the Vets Club on Tuesday. We're going to have one on the east side the following week at the Terrace. And then we're going to have one down in City Hall. And the vote on the local law, folks, is going to be August 1st. And you know what I saw tonight? I saw early voting and how we all bipartisan unanimously came together. And Councilmember December introduced a resolution that we all supported and worked together on early voting. You know why? Because we want the people to vote. So come August, I hope that the council goes by what they preach and stop talking the talk and walk the walk and support a referendum to allow, guess what? The people to vote. I vote no on resolution 113 as amended.
Council President, just one thing.
The vote is
The people
over.
of
Mara,
Troy
please.
did vote
You
in
already had
November
your stop. Thank you,
2017.
Councilmember
They voted
Paratori.
for us.
Laura, please move forward, please.
Resolution 113 passes, 4 ayes and 3 noes.
All right.
Please take it outside, thank you. Ordinance 49, Laura, ordinance 49.
Council President, could you introduce this along with the
Ordinance introduced. Ordinance 49. Please.
Everybody, I'm not gonna leave, go right in.
Excuse me. Please stop. Sir, in the front row, please. Laura, ordinance 49.
Can you stop talking, like worry about litigation? Can you stop talking?
Please. Ordinance 49.
ordinance adopting the city of Troy grant accounting policies and procedures? Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion? Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy. Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Ordinance 49 passes 6-0 noes.
Ordinance 50.
Ordinance amending the special grants fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 50 passes 6-0 noes.
Ordinance 51.
Ordinance amending the city of Troy cash receipts policy. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 51 passes 6-0 noes.
Ordinance 52.
Ordinance adopting the city of Troy.
Folks, you're going to have to take it out in the hallway. We have business that we have to finish, please.
Ordinance adopting the city of Troy credit card policy, police department. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance 52 passes 6-0 noes.
Ordinance 53.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 53 passes 6-0 noes.
Ordinance 54.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 garbage fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Parator. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 54 passes 6-0 noes.
Ordinance 55.
Ordinance amending the general fund and capital projects fund budgets. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 55 passes 6-0 noes.
Ordinance 56.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 water fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember December. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Parator. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 56 passes 6-0 noes.
Ordinance 57.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the
Excuse me,
administration.
Mara. And, guys, it's so hard to hear up here. If you have to talk, please take it in the hallway. Thank you. Ordinance 57.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 57 passes 6-0 noes.
Ordinance 59.
Oh, I'm sorry, ordinance 58.
Ordinance 58, ordinance amending the code of the city of Troy, section 216-13. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
That actually is,
Should be the amended.
yeah, the amended, yep, just make sure it's the amended, Mark.
Yeah, the attachment.
Yep, perfect, thank you. Motion?
Second.
Yep, second, Councilmember December, discussion. I just want to thank our colleagues for working together to waive the fees for residents for 2019, and we'll look toward 2020. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 58 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 59.
Ordinance authorizing settlement in Myers versus the City of Troy, New York. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
I want to remind Councilmember Gully to abstain. Do I have a motion? All right, do motion, Councilmember December. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Territory. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 59 passes 5 ayes, 1 abstention.
Ordinance 60.
Ordinance amending the code of the City of Troy, Chapter 39. Councilmember Kennedy.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Territory. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Cummings. Discussion?
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
I'll just note this does two things. One, the name change, but more importantly, it adds a role for the organization like the Rensselaer Land Trust, who approaches and we're interested in being involved with the Environmental Conservation Commission in Troy. This organization's obviously done a tremendous amount of conservation throughout the city and the county, and we're really pleased that they're interested in working with us directly through this commission.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 60 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 40.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a Y parking lot use agreement with 33 Second Street. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Territory. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Cummings. Discussion. This, folks, is a parking lot over on 33 Second Street. Very long story short, the agreement proposes to, in exchange for 14 parking spots to 33 Second Street, access for the city of Troy. I added, if we were to RFP that, you're looking probably about $6,000 a year for the monies for the 14 spots that we could be potentially getting in revenue. I drove the parking lot. There is access for the city. I cannot support this resolution. I would have liked to have seen an RFP.
Council President?
Yes, discussion.
We share the parking lot.
Oh.
Yeah, we share the parking lot with this person, this property owner, so that's what this agreement is about, sharing the parking lot.
Correct.
So you do believe.
But it's our.
Council President, I'm so sorry. Do you believe that we should not be sharing the parking lot with this property owner?
I am stating it's our parking lot, and what I'm saying is RFP it for the 14 spots.
No, we share the parking lot with the person already.
They don't own, we own the parking.
No, they own part of it.
They own a sliver, not the 14
So
spots.
so you agree that we share the parking lot with them?
But they don't own the 14 spots, Councilmember Kennedy.
But you agree that we share the parking lot
I'm
with them?
voting no. If you don't like my position, it's fine.
Okay, great. Let's move on then. All right, let's go.
Further discussion?
Council
Yes.
President, I'll just know I also walked around this and took some measurements. It's true we could have access to the lot without this parcel, which we got from the owner of 33 Second Street. But that would reduce the number of spaces in order to have sufficient turnaround and everything else. Reduce the number of spaces in the parking lot by I think 14 is what the number we got. And so this doesn't lose us parking. But it does add to the total amount of parking available downtown by collaborating rather than everybody working in their own site.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
Resolution 40 passes 5 ayes and 1 no.
Resolution 41.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Rensselaer County Sewer District Number 1 for utilizing the city's computerized water and sewer billing and collection system. Council President Mantello with the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Territory, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 41 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 42.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with the Mohawk Hudson Humane Society. Council President Mantello with the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Territory, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings, discussion?
Council President,
Councilmember December.
I'd just like to thank the city clerk for providing us the information on Mohawk Hudson Humane Society that was requested at the last meeting. It's an important relationship we have, and there was additional information provided to us through one of the changes I introduced early last year. The numbers of redeemed dogs has increased from 37.1% in 2017 to 44.5% in 2018. And this was attributed to a reduction in fees last year. And I just wanted to make a note that this is an important part of the things that we're trying to do in making sure that punitive measures are not onerous and that they are something that is done in a way that is equitable and sound. And we're seeing the result already in the number of increased dogs, which is I think the intent of the goal. So I thank you for the information, and I'll be voting yes.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 42 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 43.
Resolution to express interest in Capital Region Community Choice Aggregation Energy Program. Councilmember Cummings, Councilmember Kennedy.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Territory, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December. Discussion. I did notice in the resolution to the sponsor, Councilmember Kennedy and Cummings, that you name Michelle Rogat from the Joint Task Force of Sustainability and Climate Smart Practices to the appointment on behalf of the City Council as our rep to the Capital Region CCA Steering Committee. Michelle has she will not gain at all if we move forward with the CCA. There's no conflict whatsoever. She's not involved in any down the road, the potential company. There's no ethically conflict. Correct.
I'll speak.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, she works for a nonprofit as a sustainability coordinator, and she's already on the steering committee of the regional CCA program initiative. And yeah, she has nothing to gain financially. I believe she could probably. Does she have to submit a disclosure form and sign the form?
Correct.
Yes, all the members of the Joint Task Force on Sustainability have submitted annual disclosure forms. And those are with the Ethics Commission now. So if there is any question in the future, they do have the means to review that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 43 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 44.
Resolution authorizing and ratifying the memorandum of agreement by and between the City of Troy and the Civil Services Employees Association. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Territory. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy. Discussion. I just once again want to recognize the partnership between the administration, CSEA. Looks like a very good contract. Hopefully we can move forward with some of our other unions. Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 44 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 45.
Resolution appointing members of the Troy Environmental Conservation Commission. Councilmember Kennedy, Councilmember Cummings, Councilmember December.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Territory. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, your sponsor. Anyone else want to second?
Yeah. Council President.
Yes. Do you,
If we, have to amend it.
can we first motion second
That's
and
what I
then,
thought.
okay. Motion, do I have a second?
Yes, second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion, go ahead first. Do you have an amendment?
I would like to make a motion to amend, to change the word from, protection to conservation.
That was already amended in the finance committee.
Okay.
Yep.
It's reflected.
It's
in the
amended,
record.
in the amended version, Councilmember Kennedy is the one we're voting.
Alright.
Thank you. On the discussion, I did just want to note that, one of your appointments, Mr. Winters, is chair of the Ring Party. He will, if he's appointed, he will have to resign as chair. If he wants to be on the commission, any commission, you cannot also be the chair of a political party. So it's in the charter. I'll send you the section. So it's up to, obviously, just for full disclosure.
Then I will make an amendment to, should
We can have that discussion with him after. We can have,
It's up to you. You can keep them on and then decide and come back. It's up to you.
in the future, if you do find concerns like this,
Absolutely. Yeah.
bring them up beforehand.
Further discussion?
Yes, I just want to thank my colleagues for their long work on this. It's a very important thing for the city of Troy, so I thank you.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 45 passes 6 ayes, 0 no's.
Resolution 46.
Resolution in support of the Troy Public Library grant application to conduct a historic structure report. Councilmember Cummings.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December. Yes, on the discussion.
now that we have a second, I figured I'd invite everybody else to unanimously co-sponsor it, just for the purpose of.
I'd love to.
please.
Yes,
Please.
yes. We're unanimously co-sponsoring. And on further discussion, somebody earlier at the public forum mentioned public libraries, and I cannot agree more how it kind of went through a cycle. We saw before computers, public libraries were the in thing. And then it kind of took a little dive. It definitely has come back around. Public libraries are essential. Lots of folks use the public libraries, obviously, not just for the books, but computers, etc. And so I cannot agree with you more, and I think we're totally on the upswing with our libraries. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 46 passes 6 ayes, 0 no's.
Resolution 47.
Resolution authorizing the mayor or designee to enter into a contract with the Boys and Girls Club of the capital area for the purpose of administering and operating the South Troy Pool Facility until August 31st, 2019. Council President Mantello with the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Parator. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy. I really want to applaud our Deputy Mayor. Seriously, I asked the Deputy Mayor at least 9 questions. Every question was answered to the T, including some of my concerns addressed. I cannot applaud your work on this agreement enough. I know you put a lot of time into it. Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 47 passes 6 ayes, 0 no's.
Resolution 48 is withdrawn. Resolution 49.
Troy City Council supports locating an early voting site in the city of Troy. Council Member December.
Do I have a motion? I will make a motion.
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Further discussion?
Council President,
Councilmember.
I'll thank the rest of the council for supporting these efforts. I think we've already discussed it, but it is vitally important when we're thinking about laws, particularly about voter enfranchisement, that we can do all we can to support those efforts. And I look forward to the continued discussions with the Rensselaer County government in sharing these costs, and I'll be voting yes.
Further discussion, I'd also like to add, as many folks know, way back when at least I found out that Troy wasn't going to have an early voting site, I called the Republican Board of Elections Commissioner. I sent a letter to both of them saying that I am hopeful that since we are so bipartisan on this effort and want to see everyone vote, that people also support the local law to allow folks to vote on the sanctuary city referendum. Thank you. I vote aye.
I just want to say, I'm sorry, go ahead, Floor.
Sure. Further discussions, Councilmember Perry.
I think it's a necessity that we have an early voting site in the city of Troy, in a place where a majority of people don't have cars to get to the voting place. That's why I applaud my council colleague, Mr. December, for bringing forth this resolution, and my colleague, Ms. Garrett, for suggesting that it be in District 2. I would love to see this early voting site in School 2 at District 2.
Thank you, Councilmember Parator. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 49 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes.
Thank you, Mara. Now we have our final public forum. Yes.
Sorry, I actually have a question about the vacancy.
Oh, the vacancy? Sure. Vacancy list?
Just because, you know. The first is with regard to the police officers on the vacancy list. There's still 7 listed. Wondering, I know we just did a swearing in for 4.
That's 3.
It's 3 now?
Great.
The vacancy list was provided before the swearing-in ceremony.
Great, perfect. I wasn't sure whether the vacancy gets filled when it's sworn in or when they get out of the academy. But thank you.
We pay them now.
Great. And then the second was wondering if you have an update on the solid waste and litter enforcement officer. So,
Sure. Yeah, so we canvassed, we called for applications, y'all heard that the last time we talked. We had a candidate in mind, and then they had actually, it was somebody who works for the city already, and they had anticipated that they were going to be able to do a portion of their job they do now, and that wasn't the case. So we went and canvassed one other individual. They didn't have qualifications, so we have put out the information to one other person. My hope is that it is sooner than later, because I need to make sure that my code officers don't get overruled.
so wait, when you say one, you put out to one other person, is that who's on the list? This is the canvassing process.
The canvas process, correct. So there are people applied. We had people who applied. The one thought he was going to be able to do some of the existing stuff he does now, and that wasn't the case. So he decided he didn't want to do it anymore. So we talked to another one. He didn't necessarily match up the qualifications. So we have to go through that with him, and now we're looking at a third. It's not an easy
Are there
process.
more on the list after that, or after that would be back out to?
Most likely we'll go back out at that point, because the other ones were qualified.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Monica. I am going to now open the final public forum. Would anyone like to speak on any issue happening in your neighborhood?
Marie Gazzi, 922 Fifth Avenue. I just wanted to say thank you for supporting the library.
You're welcome. Thank you, Marie. We like thank yous. Anyone else like to speak on any item? Okay. I'm going to close the second public forum. I thank you all for your patience this evening, and hopefully we can move forward. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion, Councilmember Gully, do it a second. Second, everybody. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank
Aye,
you.
aye,
Good
aye,
night. Safe trip home.
Did you hear that?